Hey y'all, it's me, Dr. Lynn Daniel, PhD, EDS. I'm the self care evangelist here on social media where I encourage people to prioritize their personal and professional self care. I do that through the Word of God, and hey, I encourage you to do the same, but I can't make you do that. But I invite you to find out who Jesus Christ is because you would be surprised. You all, today is Tuesday, October 22nd, 2024. It's been a crazy busy week already, but in a good way. And I want to come and talk a little bit about self care. I've had conversations on the job with, various people about self care. Um, yeah, and today I had someone to tell me that they appreciate me. Somebody in my personal life, my professional circle, told me that they appreciate the content that I put on LinkedIn about self care. When I initially started um, deciding to move in this manner as the self care evangelist, I was apprehensive. I was afraid. I was afraid to share my faith like this, to be vulnerable, really, and to share my faith in a professional way. But, people share their faith. Their faith is the spiritual or whatever that intangible mindset, theory, or belief that that's they endear. It's an endearment to them. They hold it close. It has value and worth to them. That's their religion. That thing that they follow that dictates their life. And people share that all the time on jobs. And here on social media, I'm not on my job, but LinkedIn is a professional space, and I really like that space. And so I was a little bit leery about being vulnerable over there, but I'm like, it's me. Like, listen, you have to realize that everybody isn't going to like you, right? That's a part of growing up and having a healthy self-esteem is understanding that everybody isn't for you and everybody isn't going to like you, so you need to like yourself and be for yourself and get your message out. So I'm getting my message out. So thank you all for being here today with this long-winded introduction. You all, I'm going to share my screen because I want to talk to you all about self-care. Of course, right? Of course. Of course. Of course I want to talk about self-care. Come on, thing. There we go. Of course, I want to talk about self care, you all. Of course, I do. Let's make it big. So, let's take a look at, you know, you all. I think the majority of you who come here and watch my videos and you follow me on different uh, platforms, I think you are coming to a deeper understanding of why self care matters. Self care matters because, bottom line, if you don't prioritize what keeps you going, you will not be going. Now, if the thing that keeps you going is detrimental to your health and is literally chipping away at your health, then you have got to ask yourself, why are you still relying on that particular thing? I had to do it with sugar, and I still have that conversation with myself about sugar. And I made a video about me and sugar back in the summer months, July. So if you want to see that video, just go back and find it. hmm Self care matters because we have to be intentional about the actions that we take to improve our life, the quality of our life, because we're not getting any younger, we're getting older. And getting older, none of us have been older before, right? This is our first time being old. So we have to teach ourselves. We have to put our future self up front like the teacher, the mentor, the leader, the guru. And we're stepping into that role of I'm going to lead myself into sustainable, healthy practices and habits and lifestyle actions so that when I reach the next decade, I will still have capabilities, right? I will still be able to enjoy whatever, whatever. So when we neglect our self care, exhaustion, our stress levels get crazy, out of control, physical and mental health issues explode and just get haywire. So, you know, self care, y'all, it is not selfish. Self care, and I think it was Bell Hooks who said that self care is an act of rebellion. Now, that's a paraphrase, you all. That's a paraphrase. It was either Audre Lorde or Bell Hooks. I believe it was Bell Hooks. You all look it up. Self care is actually, when you look at it from a spiritual, political perspective, it is an act of defiance against oppression. It is a bold, audacious move, attitude, and posture to take against oppression, because oppression is designed to break you down. Oppression is designed to destroy your humanity. Oppression is designed to negate your God giftedness, negate you, press you down, imprison you, diminish. So self care is an act of rebellion against oppression. So if you think that self care is selfish, you still have some learning to do. And you still have research to do. Looking into information in the literature on becoming trauma informed, looking into reading the literature about the brain and neuroplasticity of the brain and how the brain learns and continues to be plastic and pliable into old age based on our nutrition. And historically in this country, when you look at the nutrition of poor people, people in poverty, and black people, you know, people formerly enslaved people during enslavement were purposely fed trash. They were served the leftovers or the throwouts. And so they turned that into cuisine. Over the years, they finessed it and put, because that's the spirit of the black person. The black people are uniquely and beautifully woven people, man, spiritually. It's just something about the black soul, you all. Those of you who are not black, it is something about the black soul that is so resilient and is beautiful, like music, like a note, like a hymn going up to God. Like we resist oppression. But historically in the United States, the enslaved people were fed garbage, you know. And so they turned that into cuisine. Now, because the meat cuts were not the healthiest, they were either the, you know, not non-nutritious parts of the meat cuts, or the foods, how the foods were prepared to make them palatable and delicious. You added a lot of flavor, maybe a lot of fats, maybe a lot of frying, so the methods and things that were used to turn the trash into treasure over time, began to wear down on the bodies. And you got to remember too, enslaved people, and I don't know how I'm getting off on this, but I'm going with it because the Holy Spirit must be taking me here. Um, enslaved people were, how do I say this? Like, I kind of lost my train of thought, but it's on the tip of my tongue. I'll come back to it. Enslaved people were beautiful, right? In the midst, that's it. I got it back. Thank you. In the midst of the oppression, and the oppression was horrible, you all. We cannot even imagine the spirit behind it, and the actions of it was just the most devastating, horrific, dehumanizing. Like, who, where, why, who, like, if we really sit down and deconstruct the the racism at the root of the illnesses that people have, the racism at the root of the conditions of the black spirit in this nation, on this land, almost everything was established after enslavement as a way to keep formerly enslaved people out. And so under those conditions, how do you retain resilience and, you know be beautiful as much as, yeah. Okay, so I didn't intend to go there, but it's the Holy Spirit needed me to say it. Okay, so you all, here is the self-care formula. So we have our physical components: emotional, spiritual, social, emotional, spiritual. How you see how they're all connected, right? Yeah, they're all overlapping, they're all connected, they're all important. Okay. So when you craft and put together your own personalized self-care plan, do this in the way that fits your lifestyle best. I'm a person who likes to track and collect data and measure it and have it. And even in that is in my own way that feels natural to me. Um, and it can get as formal as necessary for whatever the task is. But find a way for you to create a personalized self care plan. And so you break down that formula that I just showed you: your physical plus your emotional plus your social plus your spiritual care equals self care. That's the self care formula. And according to the International Self Care Foundation, is I think it's isf.org. Yeah, you need to go check them out because they have valuable resources that can really reinforce what you're learning. Those of you who continue to come here and check out my content, you know, it gets deep, you all. Like, self care includes, like, you look at, okay, your awareness of what it is that you need to be well. And then self care is even making sure that you schedule maintenance for your body. You schedule periodic maintenance for every aspect of your body. Those of you with insurance, you're covered with insurance. Those who don't have insurance, I don't know what to say about that other than it is necessary. So maybe that could be a part of your assignment, is to look for clinics or doctors who can provide a sliding scale or other ways for you to participate in wellness. I know of an agency that is a Christian based agency, sort of like an insurance consortium or clearinghouse, or I don't know what to call it, but all the families pay, they come together and they contribute like to a pot. Now look, this is going to sound like gambling how I'm explaining it. It's not going to sound right. And I can't even remember the name of this organization, but it is a legitimate Christian based organization where people sign up, they contribute to something, and then they can request or pull out money to cover their medical needs. So you can Google that or go ask, you know, a generative AI tool to help you identify what it is. But that's another way that you can help to pay for your like your dental treatments, your well women visits, and different visits like that. And the men, women, keep your men well. I know men don't hardly want to make doctor's appointments, but men need to, make sure they're eating right and taking care of themselves, because a lot of the things that we get are caused by our lack of nutrients in our body. Is what the literature is saying, and what the healthcare professionals, many of them are saying. Like I heard the other day that Steve Jobs, he had a condition that ended his life. But this guy who was speaking, now this was on TikTok, so, but he's a physician. He's a licensed, credible physician. And I saw it on TikTok, and he says something like Steve Jobs really died from a lack of nutrition. Had had the caregiver looked at his physical ailments that were going on and done certain types of tests and addressed what was found with like different micronutrients and different types of nutrients, it could have stabilized his bodily system. So, I mean, that's not my expertise. I'm just sharing that because, yeah, but we do need strategies to incorporate self care every, in our, it's just a way that we are being. Because if we look at self care as an act of resistance against oppression, then that to me changes, it prioritizes self-care. It takes it from being wishy-washy, like, oh, should I or should I not, oh, I'm feeling guilty for whatever, whatever. Like, don't feel guilty for getting an x-ray if you need it, or getting an MRI if you need it, or going to the emergency room or the whatever, like if your doctor is in a belt, don't feel guilty. But if we say that self-care is just like, if we minimize the importance of it, it does make you feel guilty if you're doing it. But if you say self-care is resistance against oppression. So when these germs are flying out around the office, the environment, and you prioritize micronutrients, nutrition, hydration, resting, and you start prioritizing things to build up your immune system and to build resistance in your body against these things. See, that's what self care is. Self care is defiance against the oppressor. That's what it is. Okay, let's move on. Okay, spiritual care. This is spelled like in the 1700s. I made this using a tool, a large language model tool. And it spells, look how it spells spiritual, like something out of the 1700s. Look how emotional, emotional. Okay. But you get it. So those of us, and look, it doesn't even give us scriptures. Okay, it gives us Mark 16:31. But what is physical care? 11:38. What is it, Mark? Y'all, I should have looked at that better before I put that on there. Where's my Bible? Right here. Let's take a peek. Okay, Mark 16:30. Girl, ain't no such thing. Excuse me for getting loud. Mark goes up to the 16th chapter, the 20th verse. There is no Mark 31, 16:31. Let's look at Mark 11:38. Is that a 38? What is that? I should have looked closely at that before. Okay, there is a Mark 11:33, but that looks like 38 to me. And 30, it says Mark 11 verse 33. So they answered and said to Jesus, we do not know. And Jesus answered and said to them, neither will I tell you by what authority I do these things. Ooh, I guess ChatGPT is telling me that it does things by a different authority because it sure didn't get these scriptures right. Okay, so let's go back to our lesson. Okay, so you all, this could be a part two video right here because I'm getting ready to go into the family of origin work, and we've already been going for 22 minutes. And the family of origin work, now, if self care, if you keep putting it on the back burner because you think it's not important, you think it's fluff, right? You don't see it as an act of resistance yet, a resistance against oppression, then you're not ready. I don't think you're ready to do the family of origin work. But I mean, maybe you are. I don't know. I don't think so. Cuz the family of origin work goes deep. It's asking you to look at your family. Like the first thing you can ask yourself, does my family like me? Okay. When you ask yourself that, does my family like me? Then you can just list all the people in your family of origin, your original family. And then it's now some people may say to me, girl, shut up. You're not a family therapist or you're not a family. No, I'm not. I am an educator, I'm a teacher. But I have students who walk into my classroom every day who experience deep loss in their family. And I see how it impacts them. And I speak to the parents who call to say XYZ is going to be out so many days. What's the assignment or whatever, right? Back in the day before we got Canvas and Blackboard and things, that's how it was. So I may not be a family counselor, a licensed family counselor. No, I'm not. I'm a licensed credentialed educator, literacy educator of adolescents and young adults. Okay? And the little ones too, but my experience has been with adolescents and young adults. And I've seen the family dynamics on students from families where you can tell by how the student is treated that something's wrong. Something is not family like in regards to that child. So all of us, you know, we can take a moment and just kind of examine our families. Like, I think we love our families unconditionally. At least I can speak for myself. I love my family. I love my family. But I have boundaries now that I'm 110 years old and dog years. I have boundaries. And so a 12-year-old, a 15-year-old, even a 17 or 18-year-old, they don't have boundaries yet. They don't know about boundaries. And so I just say, if you find the self-care part is flippant and not important, you need to ask yourself why. We're going to go back to the why. Why is this not important to me? Why? And then once you're ready, come do the family of origin work. It's deep. Looking at the spiritual aspects of self-care, especially with the family. We'll get to this later. I think I am going to um let's see if I can come out of the, yeah, I think I'll just stop it for right here because it's about past my bedtime. it's, it's almost 9 p.m. So I am going to upload this video and I'm going to sleep. I'm trying to study 15 to 30 minutes every night, but I think I did 10 minutes tonight on my, like, I just can't do it today. That course is getting on my nerve. That one course. I'm doing two courses. One for work and then one for, my own. I like to challenge myself. But yeah. All right, y'all. Thank you. Be blessed.